If you are thinking about trying Henry Med's weight loss, stop. Not because it's bad, because there are a few things you need to know before you hand over your card details. I went through the whole thing so you don't have to guess. I pulled apart the entire Henry Med's model. The pricing, the medication, the telehealth process, the compounding pharmacy situation, and what actually happens after you sign up. What I found was more interesting than the homepage suggests, and a couple of things gave me genuine pause. Quick note before we get into it. If you're already leaning towards signing up, there is a discount link in the description, and that will save you money compared to going in through the main page. I would grab it before you check out. Now, here's what you actually need to know. What Henry Meds actually is, and how the model works. 3 things that genuinely work in their favor. 2 things that almost made me walk away, and 1 detail about their platform that almost most people overlook. I will get into that towards the end. Henry Meds is a telehealth platform built around personalized weight management. Their primary offering is compounded GLP-1 medications, specifically compounded Semaglutide, prescribed online, a licensed healthcare provider, and shipped directly to your door. The process is straightforward. You fill out the medication intake form, which takes less than 5 minutes. A licensed provider reviews your information and determines whether the treatment is appropriate for you. If prescribed, your medication and supplies are mailed directly to your home. No insurance required, no waiting rooms, and no commuting. That is their pitch, and on the surface, it's a clean one. But the details matter, and that is where it gets interesting. First, the pricing is genuinely accessible. GLP-1 medications through traditional pharmacies without insurance can run into hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars per month. Henry Med starts at $179 per month. That includes your provider visits, your medication, your supplies, and your ongoing support. One payment, no surprise bills. For people who have been priced out of the category entirely, that number changes the conversation. Second, the onboarding is frictionless. The intake form takes under 5 minutes. You are not navigating a broken insurance portal or sitting on hold. You fill out the details, the provider reviews them, and if you qualify, the medication ships within 8 to 10 business days. For anyone who has spent weeks trying to get a single appointment, that timeline is significant. Third, the care model is ongoing, not transactional. That is not a platform that prescribes and then disappears. Henry Meds gives you continued access to your healthcare provider throughout your treatment. That matters specifically with GLP-1 protocols because dosage adjustments are a normal part of the process. Having a provider available when that happens is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And the cheaper alternatives in this space often strip that out entirely. Now, here is the part most reviews skip because it is inconvenient. First thing to understand is what compounded medication actually means. Henry Meds works exclusively with licensed compounding pharmacies in the United States. Compounded semaglutide is not the same as Ozempic or Wegovy. It does not go through the same FDA pre-market approval process. It may differ in efficacy, safety, and side effect profiles from the brand name versions. Henry Med states this clearly on their own website, which I respect, but a lot of people sign up without fully registering what that means. You're not taking a brand name drug. You are taking a patient-specific compounded version. For most people, that is a reasonable trade-off given the cost difference. But you should make that decision with full information, not half of it. The second issue, that it is not available everywhere. Henry Meds does not operate in every state. If you're in a state where they don't serve, the conversation ends before it begins. Check availability before you get invested in the idea. Here is a detail I mentioned at the beginning. Most people evaluate platforms like this purely on price, and that is understandable. Cost is a primary barrier in this category. But the more interesting question is that Henry Meds is actually worth building. Their weight management offering is built around GLP-1 medications, but the platform itself is broader than that. Personalized treatment plans, ongoing provider relationships, medications shipped right to your door across multiple health categories. This is not a single product company that got lucky with semaglutide. It is a telehealth infrastructure play that entered through the weight loss door. If you are evaluating this as a long-term health relationship rather than a single prescription, the value proposition looks considerably different. That context is worth having before you decide. If you are between the ages 18 and 70, you've been looking for GLP-1 medications, the brand price has stopped you, and you're in a state that they serve, Henry Meds is worth a serious look. If you are self-employed, uninsured, or simply tired of navigating a healthcare system that is not built for convenience, this model makes sense. Who would skip it? If you want a brand-name FDA-approved drug with full pharmacy backing, this is not that. If you're outside their service area, this is not available to you. And if the compounded medication model makes you uncomfortable, even after understanding it, There are alternatives worth exploring. Knowing what you actually need is half the work. There is no shame in that. Here is where I land. The Henry Meds review conversation almost always gets reduced to price. And yes, starting at $179 per month for a complete GLP-1 protocol is competitive. But the more honest argument for the platform is access. For a meaningful number of people, Henry Meds is the first realistic path into a medication category that was previously out of reach. Not because science changed, because the delivery model did. Is it perfect? No. The compounded medication distinction is real and worth understanding. The geographic limitations are real, and the regulatory environment around compounded GLP-1s has shifted more than once and will likely shift again. But as a platform, it does what it says it does. In a space full of overpromising, that is not a small thing. If you have decided this is worth trying, do not go through the main site at full price. The discount link I mentioned at the start is still in the description. It costs nothing extra to use it, and I would grab it before you check out. Most people spend more time researching a hotel than they do a medication platform. Don't be most people.